All right, this is for chapter 5, and we are going to be discussing how children thrive. So the first question is, what is failure to thrive, and how biologically based and non-organic differ? Natalie, do you want to answer that one?
Yes. So failure to thrive is a serious disorder that affects like brain growth and development in infants and early childhood. It could mean that they're not eating enough, or they can have a like fluctuation between their weight and height too. Another aspect could be like it affects their growth in cognitive, behavioral, and emotional well-being. And then to expand on the biologically based or non-organic, biologically based from the book from what I got was that when it's organic, it's an underlying health issue not developed from genetics. Whereas the non-organic cause apparently has psychological roots, social roots, or both. So, for example, if the mother was experiencing malnutrition while she was pregnant, it could affect the baby's growth and health as well.
Very cool. Jada and Taylor, do you want to add, or can we move on to the next question?
We can move on.
Okay. The next question is, imagine you are a parent and share how you would approach feeding your infant from birth through 12 months to ensure they receive adequate nutrition. Jada, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, I can do it. I put, as a parent, in order to make sure that my child is receiving adequate amounts of nutrition, I'd make sure to feed my baby every 2 hours. Then as they grow older, make sure to give them like fruits and vegetables and like snacks to give them a balanced meal, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it.
Taylor and Natalie, do you want to add anything?
I just agree that nutrition and your health and what you consume is so important for the baby, because like what you eat is basically essentially what the baby eats as well. So totally agree.
Me too.
And breast milk is so much cheaper and so much easier. I mean, if you can do it, try it. I did both, and it's a lot easier to just roll over and pop them on versus having to get up, and makes it easy. It's always the right temperature. It's always the right type. So if you can do that. All right, so let's move on to the next question. Watch the video titled Saving a Brain, a Grand Challenge, and answer the following. According to the video, when is the most important potent window for brain growth, and why is this important? I can start with this one. So based on the video, it indicated that the first 1,000 days are the most important due to the rapid brain growth. That particular time, if they're exposed to positive stimulation, it affects everything from academic achievement, their economic growth, their overall health, their capacity to navigate life, and of course, their resiliency. The next question from that are, what are the 3 types of stresses, and explain them. I'll do the first one. So stress 1, that's the positive stress experience. With stable and supportive relationships where children develop resiliency and healthy responses to stressors. So what I liked about, or what I thought was interesting about this one is it's not the idea is not that you create an environment for your baby that is 100% stress-free, but instead give your baby the support that they need so they can start developing their own ways to develop or to handle the stress. Because if you can handle the stressors, it has more of a healthy response. Natalie, do you want to do stress 2?
Yes, the second type of stress is extraordinary stress, where an unexpected or sudden death of a loved one, it could be sudden illness or a natural disaster, or even a divorce. I know that's like a lot more common nowadays for younger kids to experience that. I know I did, like experiencing their parents divorcing, and it's extraordinary for a reason because they're the way they could grow better is being surrounded by protective relationships, and it will then create an opportunity for them to develop a sense of control and adaptive coping. So it kind of relates to positive stress, as Joan said, um, and will help them be able to cope with those things like in the future. But yes, this type of stress is very damaging at a young age.
When I've had family and friends and coworkers that have gone through divorce, my advice to them is love your child more than you hate your ex-partner. Because
Yeah.
it's hard to get, it's hard to make good parental decisions when you're in that cloud of anger or pain, or so it's just difficult. Stress 3. Jada, do you want to answer that one?
Yeah, I can do it. So it's toxic stress, which would be like no support system, child abuse, neglect, and violence.
Yeah, that's right on. And I think what else the video indicated is that children without that buffer or a solid support system, that toxic stress, it leads to their brain having a high duration of physiological stress response. So basically their brain is in high alert, emergency mode, and those types of, that type of experience changes their outcome, their development, it changes everything. So it's very interesting. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. What are the benefits of stimulation according to the Jamaican study? Please give specific examples. Taylor, do you want to head off that one?
Actually, I did not do this one because I couldn't find it. So can I do the next one?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me go ahead and start. So what they showed is they had groups of children that were given, one group was given better nutrition, one was given weekly visits with healthcare workers that encouraged mother-child interactions, and then one was given none. I think there were 4 groups. And what they found is that the mothers and the children that had weekly visits from the health workers, when they were developing through play, they developed cognitive and emotional skills. And what that helps the child do is once the child has that understanding, if they cry, that their need is going to be met, then that helps with their emotional development. And with that particular study, they found that the children, when they came back, but when they were between the ages of 17 and 22, the children that had the additional support and the play, they had better vocabulary, higher reading scores, less involvement in fights, less violent behavior, fewer bouts of depression. It also cut the dropout rate in half. On average, the dropout rate was 29%, and these children, they reduced their dropout rate to 15%, which is pretty incredible. So that was that video. So let's move on to the 5-minute video, The Science of Neglect, and answer the following. Describe the concept of serve and return. Natalie, do you have that one, or do you want me to ask Jada?
Do not, I'm so sorry.
Or I can do it. I have it.
Oh, perfect, Taylor.
Okay, so I put that it stated in the video that when a child does something and the parent notices, and it's when that, okay, I put, it stated that it's when the child does something and the parent notices what the child does and responds to the child.
And then the next question is, what is the harm of not receiving the response interaction as a child?
So for that part, I didn't really get a lot of it, but I put that it hurts the child more than it does good. That's what I put.
Do you have anything to add, Jada? Do you want me to go to the next question, next part?
You can go to the next part.
Okay. So share your understanding of each of the 4 types of unresponsive care. And there's 4 of them. Any volunteers on this one?
I think I got them right, so I can do them.
Okay, go for it, Jada.
For occasional inattention, I put get a response sometimes, but not all the time. Chronic understimulation, less interaction with adults around them. Severe neglect in a family context, I put no attention, lack of responsiveness, not being taken care of. And then the last one, severe neglect in an institutional setting would be living in orphanages, bad experiences in living areas.
It's pretty incredible how the interaction that the babies have with the adults around them, how it can affect them. So the next one, after reading section 5-3, motor development, and watching the video Baby Milestones Motor Development, share what you learned about an infant's physical development. Be specific and thorough. So I can list a few things. So at 3 months, your baby should start smiling in reaction to your face. They also have more purposeful movements. By 4 months, they start giggling and laughing. They also start to reach for objects and attempt to grab them. And though they may not have the dexterity to grab when they're reaching, they're still attempting. By 6 months, they should be sitting. Or I shouldn't say should. That is a common milestone. 6 to 9 months, crawling. And the crawling could be everything from all fours to doing the army crawl. It just depends on the child. And then typically by 1 year, they're taking steps or pulling up and walking. And the benefit of these particular milestones is it gives both the parents or the caregivers and the medical team an idea if the child is on track. And if they're not on track, intervention can be provided, whether it's physical intervention or speech therapy or various other things that can help get the child where it needs to be. Okay, so let's do the next one. Okay, so actually I think that was it. It says, please discuss all of these questions. The Zoom activity gives you a chance to discuss what you stood out. So was there anything else either through the videos or the chapter that was of interest to you that you wanted to discuss?
No.
Well, from what I had in the beginning, I thought that describing describing the 3 types of stress was really cool. I like putting things in sections anyway, like with everything to kind of like help me understand the entire subject. So I really appreciated them breaking it down because stress is such a broad topic. And I think experiencing stress at a younger age without those abilities like already developed when you come out of the womb, like I think they affect them a lot more, especially when that window of like brain growth is so rapid. So I personally appreciate it because it's good to know like what exactly can affect a child if you want them to be able to like have a successful life, and providing that additional help for them to like how to be stable and have supportive relationships, how to deal with certain stresses and adaptive coping. I think that's super important as well. So I just appreciated that from like what I took so far.
Well, and it's interesting to add on to what you say. I've heard inexperienced parents, and it seems like the inexperienced parents or the much older generation, oh, kids don't know, or they're not going to pick up on that, or it's okay if you give them Cheetos for, when they're 6 months old. It's, and it's interesting that there's studies that show that the environment that the child is in truly affects their future, their cognitive development, their social emotional skills, their financial state, which is, it's incredible. It literally affects everything. So I think we just, as a community, just need to be hyper aware that, kids are affected by the things that are in their home or in their community I thought that was interesting that they listed community violence
Oh
as,
yeah.
as toxic stressor, which, you know, makes sense. If you close your door and you are still hearing, you know, fighting or screaming or police lights, it makes sense that you would have that reaction. So once again, a very interesting topic. And so if we don't have anything else, I think we're good. I think we've met our time requirement. We've answered everything. And if Taylor and Jada doesn't have anything, I can stop recording.
I'm good.
When I do the little the closing part.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Okay. So chapter 5, we talked about where our growth is at, and we'd also talked about breastfeeding, and for how long and how important nutrition is. And then we also talked about the different types of stresses and then what can help us as far as benefits. And closing out is Taylor Stennis, Jada, Joanne, and Natalie. And that will be it for week 5.
Yay, week 5. Only 13 more to go, ladies. All right, let me go ahead and stop.